Ibn Khaldun was a 14th century Arab Muslim historiographer and historian. He is considered one of the fathers of modern sociology, historiography, and economics. Born into an upper-class Andalusian family of Arab descent, Ibn Khaldun received an education from some of the best teachers in his city. He is seen as having natural intelligence and a high sense of curiosity. This educational provision helped shape him into an intellectual with a deep interest in political and social issues. After starting a political career at a young age, he participated in a rebellion that landed him in prison. After being released, in disappointment, he forced himself to become a scholar. He wrote several works, including an autobiography and the book The Muqaddimah, for which he is best known. The book has never lost its relevance, and historians throughout the centuries have acknowledged the importance of its works. Given his invaluable contributions to historiography and economics, he is considered one of the world's greatest Muslim philosophers. Childhood and early life. He was born on the 27th of May 1332 in Tunis, into an upper-class Andalusian family of Arab descent, Ban, called N. His ancestors had held many high offices in Andalusia and then emigrated to Tunisia, while several members of his family held political office under Tunisia's Hafsid dynasty. His father and grandfather withdrew from political life in pursuit of a mystical order. Coming from a high-ranking family, he received a quality education. Some of the best teachers in the city were recruited to teach him everything from grammar, jurisprudence, hadith, rhetoric, philology, and poetry. His classical Islamic education also includes studying the Quran, which he is able to memorize well. He received certification ijazah for all of these subjects. Specifically for mathematics and philosophy, he studied directly from the famous figure Al-Abili from Tlemcen. The teacher also taught logic and introduced him to the works of Averroes, Avicenna, Razi, and Tusi. Tragedy struck the family of young Ibn Khaldun when both parents died during the transcontinental plague that swept through Tunis in 1348 to 1349. This left him an orphan at the age of 17. Political careers. Since many of his ancestors had held political positions, he too entered the same profession. Once Ibn Tafrikan, ruler of Tunis, summoned him to be the bearer of the seal of the captive Sultan Abu Ishaq. This experience gave Ibn Khaldun the opportunity to experience the internal processes of palace politics. A few years later, in 1352, Sultan Constantine Abu Ziyad broke into Tunis and captured it. Ibn Khaldun was filled with disillusionment with his work ever since. He also decided to accompany his teacher Abili to Fez. In Fez, he was appointed as the author of royal proclamations under the administration of the Marinid Sultan Ab Enan Ferzai. However, he was accused of treachery against his mistress in 1357 and was sentenced to 22 months in prison. A year later, after being released, he was reinstated in rank and office following the death of Abu Enan. He then conspired against Abu Enan's successor, Ab Salim Ibrahim III, with exiled uncle Abu Salim. In short, Abu Salim came out of exile and succeeded in seizing power. As a token of recognition of Khaldun's loyalty, he made him a minister. until finally he occupied the position of Supreme Court Justice, a post that shows his extraordinary ability. Starting to enjoy his career, Ibn Khaldun still developed an interest in writing and composed several poems. He also grew more ambitious with time. A rebellion ensued in which Sultan Abu Salam was overthrown by Wazir Omar. He sided with the vizier and soon received a higher salary. He also wanted a higher position, namely treasurer, but his wish was denied for this position. Angry at the rejection, he resigned from his job. Finally, when he was 32 years old, Ibn Khaldun went to Buji. The Hafsid Buji Sultan, Abu Abdallah, already knew Khaldun, received him warmly, and made him prime minister. The two had previously spent time in prison together. Abu Abdallah died in 1366, and Ibn Khaldun allied himself with the Sultan of Tlemcen, Abu al-Abbas. However, a few years later the Sultan was defeated by Abu Faras Abdul Aziz, who usurped the throne and threw Khaldun in prison. Ibn Khaldun married at a young age and had children. However, a terrible tragedy repeated itself when in 1384 a ship carrying his wife and children sank off the coast of Alexandria. Ibn Khaldun's most famous work is Muqaddimah. He is also known as Muqaddimah Ibn Khaldun, who recorded early views on universal history. Some modern thinkers consider this work to be the first work dealing with the philosophy of history or the social sciences of sociology, demography, historiography, cultural history, social Darwinism, Marxism, and economics. Ibn Khaldun spent his last years in Egypt and died on the 19th of March 1406 in Cairo.